How can I, oh, how can I breathe? Okay. Hello, people. If you're on TikTok, hi. I am live. We're doing art club right now. Let's see. Let me put some lippy sticky on. I think that one's good to start. Okay. There we go. All right. Hello, peeps. I just want to let everybody know that you can join the Zoom. I don't know if it's going to be a better experience or not. We're just sketching, you know, copy. But just in case anything goes wonky or wild, you can always join the Zoom. So I'll leave that link in there. My bad. I forgot. Motherfucker. I'm sorry, y'all. Where did I put that? Oh, it's right here. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and share also in both the chat and on Zoom the fantasy Pinterest board that has some examples of icons, maps, and things like that before we get started. So, hello. I'm gonna put that in this chat too. Paste. There we go. Oh, let me fix the audio. Here we go, in the camera. I'm actually gonna set the camera virtual. There we go. Let me click here. Let me see. I do have, okay, Google Chrome. There we go. All right. I'm just gonna leave this open, I think. It's on half my face. How about I move me like this? There. Let me also do that for everybody over on TikTok really quick. I don't know how do I breathe? How do I breathe? There we go. All right. There we go. There we go. There we go. Just on Pinterest here. So everybody gets that kind of view. And I think that's it. It's necessary. Hello, hello. Okay, so hello everybody. Welcome to Art Club. We're just sketching today. So I'll kind of, for anybody who's just popping in, I'll kind of go over what we're doing, and then we'll just get started sketching. I might chat absently. If you're in the Zoom, you can drop into the Zoom and you're able to say some stuff. Because, you know, it's just a chill vibe. I should probably put some music on for myself because this is kind of, I'm feeling dry. Like, it's just dry. It's just quiet. But yeah, you can pop over into the Zoom. That's helpful. But yeah, you can pop over into the Zoom. Oh, not my voice coming over. There we go. Let me just go like songs. Shuffle. Okay. Got some Labyrinth. Taking it all for us. Taking it all fits for us. Whoa. All right. Let me organize my page. There we go, because I can kind of see y'all. Hello. Is it all good if I don't get the chance to watch mapping part 1? Yeah. It's fine. I'm gonna mention kind of what we're up to and everybody else can kind of just start sketching. I mean, do what you like. Let me grab my notes really quick about what we're doing. Oh, that would actually be helpful to show. Okay. I'm gonna put up the thing and go over it. Let me. I swear to God, it's like 50 different little things I gotta do. Okay, here we go. So, there we go. TikTok, you can see it too. And do it for the okay, there we go. Lisa smile. There we go. Okay. In your eyes. Okay, I'm trying to make this as big as possible so y'all can see nicely. Also, I think Zoom has the same thing. I don't know if it is. I just turned some music on. I don't know if it's mirrored properly on Zoom. I should hope so. Because I see it backwards. I hope y'all can see everything. Well, if you can't, just say something. Okay. So, same. Greetings with mutual acknowledgement of these hellish times. Yeah, for real. I'm actually super tired. I'm super sleepy. And I think it has a lot to do with, it's a lot to do with this fucking mutable energy out here, man. I mean, like, on the one hand, okay, like, before we get into it, the hellish times, a lot of it is because there's a lot of mutable energy going on with Uranus and Mars. So, there's, like, lots of rage bait, lots of people projecting over rage bait. Rage bait is anything that is obviously meant to enrage you because there is no other solution but to be irritated that someone has presented this information. So it could be that someone's trying to rage you on purpose, right? And sometimes rage bait are things where you are enraged because of it, like you took the bait, you know what I mean? Like that was just somebody's stupidity and you could have just like ignored it. There's a lot of that going on. I've been talking about the voice memo one only because it's centered around the conversation of consent, and that's in the realm of communication and stuff. And so I chimed in, and oh God, it's like I wish I hadn't. You know, my energy, my husband, he said this, and I've been saying it to myself. He's like, you know, your energy is finite and people's stupidity is indefinite, or it's, you know, not indefinite, infinite. And I was like, you're right. He's like, yeah, you can always find stupidity, but your energy is finite. So, you know, only do it until you don't want to anymore. And I was like, yeah, that's a really good point. I always have a conversation about how I express myself when I'm in a state of like rage to some degree, because rage for me doesn't trigger the same way as it does for other people. For me, rage is like a natural expression. You know, just like for me, crying, rage, happiness, all of those are the same thing to me. Like not the same emotion, but they come through me the same way, which is just naturally. I don't feel like, "Oh no, stuff it down." Like, oh, like I don't react that way. I'm very what you see is what you get. Like whatever energy I'm in, that's what energy I'm in. You know what I mean? Like I'm very much like that, and that can be very mutable like for people. Like it's very sometimes difficult to peg that back and forth. You guys know I love my Mars and Gemini energy because I am an Aries rising. I sit in it really well and I use it all the time. Like it's the place that I'm naturally at. So I come across as very mutable. So it's very easy for me to sit in paradox. It's very easy for me to hold multiple things to be true at once. It's very easy for me to sit in objective and subjective reality, not only because of that, but I practice that tool all the time because that's something that's necessary for critical analysis of anything, is you have to be able to sit in all of it and not side with any of it because you are just like there's on the one aspect you are just collecting, and so that's the objective, you are just collecting, and then the subjective is looking at the different angles including your own to see this thing through, you know what I mean? And so anyways, I love doing that, and that's kind of where I sit at all the time. So like on the one end I absolutely love this energy. I love yelling at people. I'm not yelling at people like it's a sport, like I look for people to yell at, but I love like expressing myself when I'm angry, because how often do you get to like express yourself when you're annoyed? That's how I feel about it. You know, Labyrinth, Samara, Genius. Yeah, he is, right? But that's how I feel. Is how often do you really get to just like express yourself and your anger or your frustrations, and versus how often do you have to like, sit with it and blah blah blah. I love expressing myself. You know what I mean? To some degree, and some aspects not so much, because I have responsibilities. So then you have to think about it here, there, and the other. But most of the time, I take full advantage of expressing myself fully when I can, and just to like let my emotions flow as they come through. That's just part of the perks, I guess, of emotionally regulating and enjoying it. That's a bar. I don't know what the bar was, but I'm glad. Okay, so yeah, that's it for like the hellish times, right? Like there's a lot of mutable stuff, a lot of like projection, hallucination. Neptune's in retrograde, so that means that a lot of people believe they're hallucinations, but like you know, um when you go outside and you see something and you're like, whoa, and then you look closer and you realize that your initial thought was off. Like the thing that you're looking at really, like you saw an illusion or something. Fury is often frowned upon. Yeah, it is. You know what I mean? But I don't. Like I understand that it can be intimidating and scary for other people, and I just accept it. Like, yeah, that was scary for you. Like it's another objective truth. Well, it's a subjective truth. It wasn't scary for me. I didn't experience it that way, and I think that's always been a little unsettling for people who have come across my fury in some way, shape, or form, which only happens when a boundary has been crossed. Like, and by boundary has been crossed, for me, that is disrespect of myself. That makes me remove or give absence. I will let someone know that why I'm giving absence, and so boom, it just comes out. It's always so unsettling and off-putting, because at the end of it, I have no regrets and I have no apology for how I delivered the message, nor the message itself. It's like I'm not like in my fury, I don't overstep. In my fury, I stay on the exact line because I know exactly why I'm irritated. I have no I'm not going to go out of my way to make fun of someone or do all these. I don't need to do all of that. The only thing I'm pissed about is whatever the fuck this was, and it's right here right now. Like this thing right here. Let's circle it and let's talk about that. I don't need to like call someone names. I don't need to do any of that. I'm just I just talk about the truth, and then people, and it's like, yeah, and I do it with fury. So it's like really terrifying. And then I'm like, I'm done. Anyways. And I'm off, and I feel light. I feel fine. I don't carry around any baggage from it, because the consequences are like, I get space, peace. My voice is heard. Those are the consequences for me, because again, like I don't do all the extra stuff, and people are like, you pull me out of my character, you're just pulling a character out of me. You didn't know that bag of tricks was in here. You just pulled the character out. That's all. But she was always there. Like it was right there the entire time. I always find it funny too when other people see me furious at someone else and they're like, "Oh, this, that," and it's like, you knew that I was like this. Why are you shocked that you're getting it too? You know, like you should always believe people when you see who they are. And I always tell people, if believe it. Sometimes people are like, "I've heard things about you. Believe it, and take into consideration who you heard it from." That's important. And if you agree, you should take the exact same advice that whatever I gave them. Like I'm very clear. I don't mind being like that, but that's that Aries energy. It's like what I'm supposed to feel bad or sad? No, not in this place. Everything catches fire, and either it's pure gold and it stands the test of time, or it's just gonna burn up. I don't care either way. Like that's that energy that comes out. But during these times, oh man, um there's a lot with Neptune retrograde in that energy. That means that like people's, like, you see how impulsive, how free flowing that energy is. It's direct. But right now a lot of people are dealing with hallucinations within their own space and place. Like I've been going on about that voice memo stuff because everybody's hallucinating. It's almost like psychosis, where people are interjecting thoughts, feelings, intentions, opinions, and it's like you guys got rage baited by a voicemail sent out into the void. No context. And yet this man's personal story, this woman's entire lifestyle. Like what do you mean, like, when you guys are hallucinating? Like, what is happening? God, get grounded. Anyways, Um, so yeah, hellish times, man. Not to mention everything else that's happening, right? It's just the onslaught. And also don't get suckered into when people say, oh, everybody's talking about this when we should be, everybody can chew gum and walk at the same time. And if you can't, trip on a rock. Like, we don't need to constantly remind people of the things that are happening. It's happening. If like, just keep it in your mind and keep moving, you know? Like, life is always moving. Things are always being added to the pile and things are always going. Oh, my bit of advice though is um I should say this. I almost wanted to say it with caution, but I'll just say it. Just take a moment to stop worrying about your problems. Your problems will go away. A lot of your problems that you were worrying about are hallucinations simply because Neptune's in retrograde. So you're just more likely to hallucinate on your problems consistently. So I say ignore them unless they're right in front of you. If the problem's in front of you, like the problem is a leaky faucet and you have to get your wrench and you have to close the wrench and stop the leak, then do that. If your problem is the idea that your faucet could leak because you've been tapping into your repair funds, and what if something breaks? You know, the plumbing sounded weird lately and your repair funds are already low. You know what I mean? You agreed to leasing this new car, and you know, yeah, it is helping someone get to work, but it's also making it that's not real. Those are all worries that aren't real. Like, sure, they exist because you made them up, but nothing's broken. So just like go. I think that was the main thing that I'm highlighting about the voice memo thing is like consent worked because two incompatible people, they broached a conversation. One person wanted an answer, the other person was indecisive. The other person then says, well, I need an answer or I walk away. And then we think, you know, I mean, who knows what happened after that, but the idea here is that hopefully that they moved away from each other. They're incompatible. One person brings confusion to the relationship and the other person brings wants and demands that aren't compatible with the other person. There you go. Like consent worked. And that's the thing. But the hallucination says, but no, please stop trying to fix something that's not broken. Two people are no longer in a situation that could cause problems if there were to be problems. Like that's all you got to do. Like it worked. Things sure have always been happening. Yeah, and it's like, you know, it's back and forth. I know some people, you know, like you might hear that as a sound clip and it sounds so nonchalant and so non-caring and stuff. Um, I've been called so many strange things in my life, like an optimist and a nihilist at the same time. And it's like, oh, I can't be both of these things. I'm just a realist. if if I'm both extremes, perhaps it's because I'm standing in the middle and I can see both of them, and maybe I'm just dating them. Anyways, let's talk about the art project. So, okay, we're doing the Neverland. So we're mapping our liminal space of the interior. So really, this is an on time project, isn't it? So we're mapping the interior. Just to give you an overview, I want you to think about the tree. Yig Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil tree. Yggdrasil. I don't know. This is Norse. You know, it's the tree with the let's see. Um Okay, I'm looking for a good one. I feel like these aren't good, guys. Come on. Okay, I'll just use this one because it's kind of like helpful. Oh my god, can I just get the picture? Why is the picture so tiny? I feel personally offended by this. Okay, that's fine. Let me move over. Let me move our window over again. Actually, let me make a new one. Window. So let's just say website. So good. And I will remember to fly out my heavens. Okay, I'm almost there. There we go. Okay, now you people at home can see this too. Okay. Oh, it's so fucking ugly. Oh, but at least I can make it bigger over here. Oh god, my bad, y'all. Okay, well, this is what we got to work with. Okay, so this is like the tree of life, okay? and there's like 3 different levels to it. You got to be kidding me. Don't be an asshole. Just go back. Oh, no, there we go. Okay. So we got the top part of the tree up here. Think of that as the heaven realms. We've got the middle. Think of that as Midgard, right? So this is like the human realms. And then we've got the underworld. You see the snake down here? So this would be like the underworld. So so understand that your interior is heaven or middle ground or hell. So heaven and hell, people say that that's an experience in this lifetime, not something you go towards after you die. That's very true. You are either in heaven or hell. So then how do you know where you are? A good way and a good understanding of that is just to tap into your own feelings and emotions. Like just go into your interior and ask yourself, do I feel like I'm in heaven right now, or do I feel like I'm in hell? I know that that sounds really obvious, but because it is. Now, that being said, a lot of people, they feel like they're out of control over which realm they're in. You just wake up and whatever happens, happens. I remember somebody I know used to say that all the time. Yeah, I just kind of wake up and then whatever happens to me is where I end up for the day. And I was like, what? I was like, that's not how that works. I was like, what? I was so concerned. Oh my God. Since then he has he has had a different philosophy on life. It was a long time ago when I was really young. But anyways, I used to be like, when I wake up, it's kind of a decision. I don't know how to, I didn't know how to explain it at the time, but it's like, it's kind of a choice. Like you choose what kind of day you're going to have. And for a little bit in my like mid to late 20s, I kind of forgot about that. I find the idea of embracing that my rage is scary for other people deeply comforting somehow. Uh-huh. It is really nice, to be totally honest. It is comforting. It's like sometimes when I get a glimpse of what other people may have experienced. Like sometimes I listen to my video back, just because I'm like, oh, maybe I'm like, did I mention all this? You guys have to understand, I talked for 10 minutes. I have no idea what the fuck I said for like 7.5 of those minutes. I'm just stream of consciousness. You get what I'm saying? If I sit there, plan out, and think, I'm wasting my own life and time on a 10-minute TikTok. I'm just, here's a thought that I'm having at the moment about this thing, and then I'm done. So sometimes I do watch it back because I'm like, did I even answer the question? Because I forget what I said. You know. So I'll listen to it back and I'm like, damn, I feel like I'm kind of experiencing that, like, my mind will shift and think about the person who's maybe if it's a comment reply, like how it's coming back to them, or who's being referenced in the video. Like, I sit and I'll think from their perspective for a minute and I'll be like, oh my God, that's kind of terrifying. Like, oh, or I'll be like, geez, I turned out to be that teacher. Oh my God. I'm like, I'm that person. I always do it. I'm glad I didn't judge so harshly when I was a kid, but oh my God, who knew? Apparently everybody knew I was like that. I was the only person who's like, I'm not like that. I'm just, sweet and cuddly. I'm just kidding. I never thought I was sweet and cuddly, but anyways. So yeah, so sometimes seeing it from a different perspective, like, yeah, you can feel comforted by that. Sometimes it's enlightening. Um, I don't feel bad about it though. Sometimes I used to as a kid. I'd feel bad, but I don't. Anyways, the art project. So we have these 3 realms. Now, how you go to those 3 realms is based on how you can anchor into those spaces. Sometimes you just are going about your day and you can just feel your energy shifting and things going south. And now you're thinking about things that you don't like, people you don't like, places and memories that you don't like, and you feel like you're just walking around all these dead memories. That's, you're in the underworld. You're in the underworld. You're in hell. You're in hell. You just have like, where in hell? There's so many different places. Now, there are some collective places like the sands of time. That's a mythological one that you can sometimes experience. I've experienced that one, and then I saw it on a movie and I was like, holy shit. I was like, I even knew that it was like the sands of time or something, and then I heard it and I was like, I've never heard of this before in my life, and I was there. That's wild, you know. So there's some things like that. I think also clouds maybe a common experience. I've had that one, but it was a waking meditation where I was just like, it was middle of the night. Well, everything's dark. It's the dead of the night and I'm in bed and I wake up from a dream and oh man, I just heard my soul talking to me and I realized I was in a cloud somewhere. And then I had all these questions and stuff at the top of my mind during times of like, I don't want to say duress, but time, kind of like difficult times. Sometimes you'll find that you are like in a deep meditation, you can ask questions and stuff like that and have very direct contact with yourself. Like it really depends on a lot of transits and your openness and stuff like that, but anytime it can happen, it does. And so one of them is like the clouds. Some people do have great dreamscapes, like astral planes that they talk about. Now astral planes would probably exist somewhere here, like between the upper middle realms, like close to the heaven realms. You get what I'm saying? But they're not like deeply up here. They're like still pretty close down here because it's a conscious collective thing going on. So anyways, when you're interior, you actually go to many different spaces. It's just, have you actually given them a name yet? I was talking about this to a client that I had with the one-on-one, about creating an interface of in your inner world. If you've ever watched The Never Ending Story, okay, it's a story about a boy whose mother died, and in the wake of all of that grief, his emotional landscape is falling apart. So his emotional landscape is this world, right, that he goes to, and he reads about it in a book. And when you think about it, he's escaping the grief of his present moment into this imaginative world through this story. And in the story, there's this cloud called the nothing that's consuming the entire world. The nothing, the grief, right? Our tracks, Atreyu. Wait, our tracks? Who's Atreyu? Atreyu's the boy. Anyways, Artrax, right? And Artrax dies in like the pit of sorrow or some shit like that. Like the whole point is that the boy is going through all this grief, and his father is so absent in his life. He like drinks eggs and like and orange juice and shit like that. Like this kid's neglected. His mom's dead. It's fucked up. But spoiler alert, in order to save the world, he has to give the princess a name. Now he ends up giving the name of his mother, Moonchild. That was his mother's name. And so that saves the world. So the concept here is, when your emotional landscape is changing or shifting, you have to go there, and in order to create from the chaos, you must name the place. Okay, so like a good starting point is to ground. So here in the upper realms, in heaven, give yourself a house, like a home or something. It could be a garden. Some people have castles. Fairy tales promote castles. Okay, a lot of nature-based, the Vedics to some degree promote gardens, Krishna's garden, you know, where everybody goes and has a fun time, right? There are gardenscapes. Honestly, there's forest. Baba Yaga has a cabin out in the woods. There are so many different kinds of places that you can give yourself as an anchor. It's your home. It's your home. And your soul, the aspects of you that are just light. Your soul is made of light. You give it a name. And so in fairy tales, we have castles, and then there's a divine union between a masculine and a feminine energy. And depending on, generally speaking, when you go into your interior, you are entering feminine energy. And so, therefore, the projection outward is your masculine. Now, Carl Jung, and listen, I'm not going to speculate too much on this because I haven't done enough research to know what like, I know the aspects for me as a female who identifies gender wise as a woman, right? But someone who has a womb. So, therefore, I just naturally have a receptor or receiver inside me, right? So, like, I just biologically have some different functionings. I know that perspective to many different degrees, and from listening to those stories. Now, the male perspective, we have been inundated by it in a lot of different spaces, but I don't know it that well. So I don't want to go against, like Carl Jung says, for the men, they have an anima. So when they go into their interior, opposite them is a female arch figure. I think, to be totally honest, Carl Jung was from a very specific gendered society, and he was deconstructing Christianity and all that stuff, and adventuring into all of this to the best of his capacity and his understanding from a Western world in like Zurich. So that's going to color an awful lot of how he organizes all of this information because of his specific position in time. I'm just going to say we're at a different position in time, so you should just go into your inner world and discover what's there for you. Okay, you discover what's there for you. Just please anchor it in a place, and also give this interface, give your light body, the one that's on the inside, a name. And that helps you to be able to like organize information. Side note, before I get into some other things, if you've heard of the Akashic Records before, or the Library of Infinite Wisdom, right? This is really just a name that we like. There's many different types of records, but you have one. It's called your brain, and you've been storing and cataloging information since you've been here. Okay, I used this example with a client the other day, and I was like, "Listen, you could have been walking into a house, and in one of these rooms, somebody was watching Scarface, and on the TV at that moment, it was just a strange sound, and you hear someone go, 'Never let your enemies see you smile,' or 'Never let your enemies see you cry,' something like that, right?" And you just cataloged that as a child. You don't know that that's from a movie. You have no concept of television truly or really. You don't know that this is from a movie. You only heard that thing because you were just walking by the open doorway. This happened when you were like 2. It's not a fixation. You just parked it. But let's say you're 33 and you don't know why it's so hard for you to cry and be vulnerable in spaces where you don't feel completely accepted, and you feel like even crying about the situation is a betrayal of some sort. It could just be that you were conditioned when you were 2 by a strange clip from the TV. You know what I mean? Like, that's categorized in your brain, and it just comes up based on how it was stored, and how it was stored was based on sound and your limited understanding of what the world was, and your active wild imagination. Wild because you're a child and you have the least amount of domestication or the least amount of information about what something is, and so your imagination fills in the rest of the gaps. Children are natural, like, disassociative hallucinators. They hallucinate everything. Okay, and sometimes their stuff is so creepily spot on, and sometimes they're just super left field, and you're like, that's why it's important to ask, why why'd you say that? What makes you think that? Why do you feel that? How do you think and feel? Because then you'll tell the difference between, like their unconscious hallucination and what they do know and what they don't know, and X, Y, and Z. Because the brain really works to make you feel stable, and so that does mean making the stuff that maybe isn't true objectively, subjectively true for you. And your point of development or growing is to be able to give a little bit more, to be more grounded with it, right? So let's talking about the grounding aspect. This is the middle place here. So like middle earth. Okay. Midgard's kind of here. No, it's like, wait, is Midgard there? Or yeah, Asgard technically is up here. Midgard would be here somewhere. So that's like middle earth. So this is like when you're thinking thoughts that you already know. So if you're like, what am I going to eat today? You're on Midgard. Those are Midgard thoughts. You get what I'm saying? You're thinking about your refrigerator and thinking about the ingredients you have. These aren't new thoughts coming to you from astral spaces. This is like, if it's mundane, rumination can happen. Rumination begins here, I should say. But for the most part, like, thinking happens here. Okay. This is when you are thinking about your to-do list or writing your to-do list down. I'll talk about some of those spaces in a moment. And then down here in the underworld. Oh no, that's not what I meant. Oh, go away. That's not what I meant. Okay. And then oh no, that's not what I meant. Get out of here, girl. Okay, there we go. No, that's not. I'm having a problem. Okay. Then down here is the underworld. This is where all dead things go. So if it's something you're getting rid of, it's there. You're releasing it, it's going down there. You feel urgency about a habit that you're breaking, that message is coming from the underworld. Urgency often comes from this place down here, but so does rumination. Rumination that leads you to hallucinating things, having conversations with people who aren't there. Generally anything that pulls you down, and it's very dense, but it's not real, is happening down here. Now there's a point where, like, scholarly information can sometimes live in this space because wisdom also lives down here in the underworld, so it's not inherently a terrible place to be. It's just there's many realms down here, and where are you? And if you don't like the one that you're in, how do you move to ones that you personally enjoy? And then also, how do you clean out these? Like, the realm of your enemies is down here somewhere, like enemies and old bygones and terrible situations that have happened that you've cut off and that you've walked away from, and all that's down here. If you come down here and dig around, right? So let's say you're on the computer and you think, well, let me go look them up and see what they're doing. And then you find out that they're doing really well, and you go, oh, does it make me a terrible person that they're doing well and I hate them? Or does it make me a terrible person that they're doing well? And when I knew them, they weren't. Was it me? This is you in hell. You're just making shit up because you went and looked at somebody that's dead to you. So now you have to make stuff up because you don't know anything about them anymore. And it's going to be based off your emotions and your feelings. And the emotions and feelings that brought you here were kind of negative. So of course you're going to feel negative about the experience that you're hallucinating. Hmm. So our map is kind of to like map the spaces your mind goes and then organize them based on, is this like the heaven realms? Like, is this a place that you go when you are like ecstatic with energy and creativity and you feel like you're at one and at peace with everything? What about when you're in the mundane spaces? Where does your mind usually go? You just kind of want to map your usual like haunts. Okay, call them haunts. Where do you haunt in your mind? If you can start putting a name to those places, and I'll give you some examples. Then let me see, what do I have here? Yeah. Yeah, you guys don't need to see my notes then. If you can give a name to those places, and then obviously icons, and then we put them on a map. And I think maybe mapping it like in the realm of like splitting it into 3 sections. You can have 3 different islands. You can have a tree of life. You can have a map that's a terrain that goes from the valley to the mountaintops. You can do whatever you want, right? But the point is to map yours. So I'll give you some examples. Oh. And one thing you need for sure is a threshold. So a threshold is a place that you go to return to now or to go inward. Okay. So I'll tell you mine because it's pretty common. I think mine's just an obsidian lake. It's obsidian. So I found it this just happened to me while I was meditating once. And also throughout my entire life, I've had dreams about driving into, falling into, off a boat into black murky water that I can't see. Once there was even a killer whale in there, and I was like, oh my god, why do I always end up in water I can't see? It used to freak me out so bad. I used to have this terror of it. And then one day I just kind of faced my fear. It was like sleep paralysis. It was actually, then when I faced the fear, I had the sleep paralysis. I felt my body go all the way up. I was on a cloud. I was talking to my soul. We had tons of conversations about so many different things. And then I kind of went back into my body and I was like, holy shit, that was the craziest thing that's ever happened to me. But because I was able to move past the fear of like sleep paralysis, because it never feels good. Sleep paralysis tends to make you think things like, did you lock the door? You know, you're stuck in bed, you can't get up, and your body's vibrating oddly, and you feel like death is coming towards you, and you're like, did you lock the door? Is there a burglar? Something gonna happen? It's something to kind of get you out, to wake you up, right? Because you're on the precipice or you're on a threshold. And yeah, because I was able to face that, I was like, well, if I die, I die. I'm too tired at this point. I was like, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I woke up and I was like, I'm too fucking tired for all this. I'm so tired of it. I had, by this time, I had 2 kids. I was like, I don't have time for whatever hocus pocus shit is trying to freak me the fuck out. I'm just done. And then, boom, I was through a new threshold. And then so later I was meditating and I ended up meditating on a obsidian lake. Like I just appeared by one, and because for the first time ever I was no longer afraid of murky water. I just jumped right in, and because I did, it was like I transitioned from one dreamscape right into another, and things became even clearer, etc. And so then I realized, oh, anytime I want to come into my imaginative, into like this place, this sacred place where I go into union with myself, I just imagine the obsidian lake and then I just go into the obsidian, and then it's like boom, everything just felt so much more like immediate, right? Yeah. So that's like a threshold. It could be any type of whatever a portal means to you, right? Just make it a portal. And the point is that you use it to go into your interior, and also you use it anytime you feel like you were stuck in your interior somewhere, like if you're ruminating and you're stuck. Go straight to your threshold. All you got to do is think about it and return to now. And just your return to now. Now, this is something that you will have to practice self discipline with, is when you ground yourself, staying grounded, choosing to be grounded rather than choosing to keep ruminating, anyways. So, you got to make a choice. You got to make a choice. Indecision creates confusion, and confusion creates a fog. And that's where hallucinations like feed, because if you're unclear, then it could be any possibility. That's how Uranus and Neptune fuck you over every single time. Because if you're entertaining possibilities and you have no boundaries, you are now mutable. Anything could be real, and now because anything could be real, anything, you have to make a choice, and then now you're choosing the terrible, scary thing, and it's like you could just go with objective truth. You don't have to make a choice about your hallucinations. You can just come back to reality. That's choice. But indecision will leave you in a dead zone of like torture. So please do, when you ground. And when you do that, you not only build trust with yourself, but it builds elasticity in your brain, so you move. Because what you're doing is just quantum leaping from one spot in your general auric field to another spot in your general auric field. And you do exist differently in, say, your underworld than you do in your heaven realms. Like, y'all, when I'm yelling at people, I'm not in my fucking heaven realms and stuff. Like, that's generally, like, I'm very much in like Midgard. I'm like, oh, what's going on here? I've put on my teaching glasses. I'm scripting through things. I'm like, here's my to-do list. I've got to mention all of these things because I'm noticing all of these issues. Let me write down on my notepad really quick. This is an issue I have. I don't like the way this is being presented. This, and this. And now I'm going to let you know. That's definitely not like my deep feminine Maya. I am very much in masculine energy when I'm setting somebody on fire. Like, that's just gonna be fucking it. Because I have to do this, and I have to do this very accurately with precision and carefully, and also use directness, and also stand in my authority, right? My agency, my autonomy. I gotta hold myself responsible. This is very masculine. So there is no fucking way that this particular aspect of me is the same aspect of me that's sitting in my fucking inner garden. Okay? Bitch in the castle don't give a fuck about anybody or what's going on. She's just sitting pretty. You know what I mean? So when I'm in I'm in that kind of space with myself. That's a totally different energy. And so when you're quantum leaping between, for instance, for me, if I'm quantum leaping from a state of rage, like I'm irritated and I'm listing out my motherfucking grievances, bitch. If I'm going from there to like, that's a pretty far fucking jump. You get what I'm saying? That's like, if you're that's a really, really ridiculously far jump. So when you know that, and you know that you're going from one state of of anger or whatever, and you're meandering or making your way to the other one, if it doesn't happen immediately, you're okay with that, because you know that those are two separate spaces, and you know that you are moving towards that space, and you know when you arrive there, because you can anchor into it. You can go to your obsidian pool, you can go to whatever your threshold is, and breathe in, exhale out, and summon the other place towards you. And as you're doing that, because those are two totally different aspects, that one is falling away and the other one is coming towards you. It's okay to let the other one lie to rest. That rest isn't immediate death, things like that. But if you do all of this unorganized, we've all experienced having to let go of an emotion that you're using, and you feel like letting go of that emotion is also letting go of the argument, letting go of your stance, letting go of protecting yourself, letting go of being heard, letting go of, like, if I let go of my anger, nothing will change. If I let go of that is like perpetual defense mode, and that is activated in you. Right? If you're in one state, that requires defense, specifically in the example, right? And so to be able to let go of that requires you to move and shift into the other, but it requires you to let that one rest. And that one takes it easy to rest when you are organized and you know where you're headed. That I'm headed to my inner state. And my inner state of like tranquility isn't I do not allow any of this other stuff that's frustrating to me into that state. So that's how you also, when we talk about boundaries, what do you give your attention versus what do you give your absence? That's how that works. You're giving all of the bullshit that made you frustrated your absence. So naturally, in the absence, it goes, something else comes in. So that's not necessarily this aspect of you isn't dying. You're just laying it to rest. That's a much more like gentle transition versus like the violence of trying to switch up emotions or not let something bother you or this or that. I think that's why I have such an easy time navigating in and out of like fury into like deep states of relaxation. And it's scary for other people, but it's like, well, I'm not carrying emotional baggage. Why the fuck do I gotta feel like I gotta hold on to that? Like I'll close my eyes for a few seconds, go to my little inner sanctum and be like, huh, I'm bored. What else is there to do? And then, and then I'd let it go and then I'm off to something else. You know what I mean? I think that's why that's so easy for me. So with that being said, I gave some examples and stuff like that. Let me see. I'll give you some examples of places in like the heaven realms. Let me see. What do I got? Ooh, I got the Jade Rose Palace. I love that place. That's in my like heaven realm. I do a lot of writing there, to be totally honest. Anytime I'm writing and stuff like that, you can be guaranteed that I stopped by my little palace first, because that's a place where I generally like walk into and then I discover like whatever is calling me or whatever is whatever creations I've got going on kind of pop up. Let me see. In the Midgard, I have. Ooh, my podium is there. So this is like my podium essentially is if I'm ever on a soapbox. So when if I'm making a TikTok video, I'm definitely at the podium. Okay. I'm not even in our reality. I'm just at the podium, surrounded by information, and I'm organizing information. That's why I said when I'm on TikTok and stuff like that, like even like certain activities you do will take place in certain realms in your mind. And if you're not in that realm and you're trying to do that activity, sometimes you come across like issues. This is a really good way to notice that. Just mapping your interior. When do you normally enjoy doing this activity? For me, I enjoy being on TikTok, like making videos when I'm either at the podium or I will share something creative that I've done on like one of my like, faceless accounts, you know what I mean? Like I'm using social media to actually be social and share things, but I don't want like to talk to people or even people to follow stuff. I'm just kind of like adding things to the picture to the like the tapestry that is humanity, right? Yeah, so those are two different zones that I'm in when I'm doing that. And um sorry y'all, let me fix this. Oh no, that's not the right one. Let me close that. There you go. Who is this song by? Oh my god, it's so big. That sounded kind of like wild. But here we go. Okay. I'm fixing the image over in TikTok for people on TikTok. Okay. But yeah. So like what was I saying? Yeah, it's nice to know where you are when you do certain activities, because then it lets you know whether an activity that you're trying to do is conducive to you right now. Are you conducive? Right? If I try to post TikTok videos, but I'm like in my deep, relaxed state, like when I'm watching movies, or I watched The Frog Princess last night. It was such beautiful animation. Oh my God. I also fell asleep towards the end. I knew that was going to happen. I was about to write that down in my journal. I was like, I know I'm going to fall asleep. But sometimes I watch, when I'm watching stuff or when I'm hanging out with my family and stuff like that. I don't want to be in the same fucking mood as when I'm making TikTok videos. Like I make my videos in a separate room and stuff like that. Sometimes I do when they're in the same space if I can't leave or something like that. And somebody said secured to get a job, an apartment for my family, but where am I when I'm selling internet? What does that mean? Secure job to get. Oh, I started late. Sorry, hold on. I find the idea of embracing that my rage is I'm working at an inbound call center in sales, and I'm trying to figure out what realm that is for me. secure job to get an apartment for my family, but where I am when I'm still on internet. Ooh. You know the song that's playing right now? And I don't know if it has anything to do with it, but I'm gonna tell you. Let me see. Doom, 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 doom. It's Smokestack Twins. You talk about you were working, and I was like, they was working. Uh, Smokestack Twins. They was doing their job, right? They was putting up the juke joint before everything went all wild and crazy. But the realm that you're in, that's definitely a middle guard realm. You get what I mean? Because you're interacting with people. Anytime, here's the thing too, people do not belong in your interior world ever. Ever and whatsoever, because you got to center yourself there. It's like if you're the kid, you go to read the book, The Never Ending Story, and like your dad's in it, and like that's weird. Like he wouldn't be able to escape. It's your own world where only you can go, and that's sacred, it's positives. But now that being said, middle guard, mid guard is the human realm. So this is like when you are dissociated or like and dissociated. So when I'm making videos, I'm not talking to anybody. I'm talking, but I'm not talking to anybody specifically. I'm talking to my phone. Like sometimes, like, I make eye contact with the camera for the most part, but y'all see, I don't even make eye contact with this camera. And that's because I'm not really talking to you guys like face to face. I'm talking to all of your consciousness, which is scattered around everywhere. It's just light out here. It's like I'm in the middle of space and there are stars and I'm just talking, and the stars hear me. That's just it. I feel like this song has taken over me. Anyways, yeah, but I'm just talking, you know what I mean? Like we're just out here in space. So Midgard is a place where so when you dissociate, where does when you think about that, when you're at your job, right, when you're not talking to anybody at your job, when you are trying to figure something out, when you're thinking, when a person, like a certain aspect of you kind of comes out, when you're doing calculations in your mind, when you're like troubleshooting for somebody, and you're like, this is a place where you're almost nonverbal. Where do you feel, who do you like, if you can almost put a name to that particular aspect of you and figure out where they fit in an environment, like is this person in a lab, like, you know what I mean, like it's almost like the aspect of you is so leaned into your physical body that you might not know what environment you're in, but if you just leaned back just a little bit and looked around while that aspect is like all over you, it's a state of disassociation. So when you're there, if you could just take a step back just to feel the texture of where you are. And yeah, where you are could be like a lab, it could be, a library, a study. I keep naming these things. Those places exist for me. Sometimes I'm in a cockpit, I don't know. I had a dream once. I drove into the scholarly tower. I just crashed, and I bypassed all of the defenses and stuff like that. And I went in and I crashed, and then they let me stay. They were like, "Wow, you bypassed all of this stuff." And I guess that means something. Anyways, it was one of those dreams. But by the time I met the teacher, it was my soul. I was like, holy shit. It was like in the dream, I was talking to him, and then I was talking to him, and then I looked at him, and then and that was, that always happens to me. Anytime he's in my dream, it's like I just, where I'm like, surprised to see you here. And then it's always like, oh my God, every time. And it's like, yeah, I didn't know that it was you. Who else would it be? We're just like that. Because it's like, oh, like, why didn't you recognize me? Like, what are you hallucinating? Like, wake up. It's so funny. Anyways, that'll happen in a dream, and then like I'll wake up to pee, and I'll find myself like giggling at like how silly that was, and I'll go right back inside to the same dream, into the same space, and I'm like, oh, this is happening. I am awake. I'm just in my deep interior, and I'm awake. Why did I say all that? Oh, I said all that just to say, so sometimes, like, if you can just get a feel of the environment, it's super. I know. If you read about writing, world building, things like that. Or I don't want to say read about world building. Practice some world building prompts, and this helps too. Like, what does your character see? I don't know. Never mind. Never mind. Never mind. All you gotta do is this one thing. There we go. Your pen. Take this note. I want you all to just select 25 minutes in your week. Just one 25-minute session. That's how you start. Just schedule this somehow within the next week. 25 minutes. You're going to sit down with a notebook, or you can do it on computer. That's fine. I do it by hand. And you're just going to take one of the places that you've labeled as your inner, as a space that you frequent, or or an aspect of you, and you're going to either one, give the aspect name the aspect of you. Just give it a name. That's the gift that humans give to all spirit, is name, to be able to give meaning, a name to the energy. Okay? It's one. Two, you're just going to write down what you see and just let yourself explore this place, whatever it is. If the first thing you see are trees, write down trees. In fact, hold on. I'm gonna go grab something, and then I'll show you guys what I mean. How do I how do I make this? Hold on. There we go. Hold on. There we go. I think I'm muted for the most part. I'm just about to get up. I didn't want you guys having to see me and all that. Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm back. All right. So I grab my notebook. This is the one that I write in when I'm writing my book. So one of the last writing sprints I did, I tried this prompt, and I think it works really well. The key is, now technically I did this for an hour, 2 sessions, 25 minutes, 10-minute break, 25 minutes. Okay, and it was just to get me back in the flow. But I tried this. It's a writing exercise I did myself. And the only rule is I have to write what I see. That's it. I'm not allowed to dismiss what I see. I'm not allowed to ignore anything that I see. I'm not allowed to critique anything that I see. I'm not allowed to question anything that I see. The one rule is you must write what you see. So I'll just tell you. Maybe I'll read you the first 2 paragraphs. It's dark, not nighttime. No, far too early in the day for night. It was not early in the morning either. It was simply dark. Now, if you sit down and you can imagine, what could I possibly see besides darkness? And it's not nighttime, but it's also not the morning. I haven't given you any descriptions of anything yet. I mean it when I say just write what you see. All I knew is that it was dark. And as I was writing that, this is what comes into view. The leaves were a deep green. I say leaves because there is no identifiable bush for which all this green comes from. It is up in the sky, all around me, to my left, my right, dark and green. I'd be remiss not to mention the sky. It's an awful shade of white, but so suddenly it is becoming a shade of gray, dark gray, that I love. Anyways, just start describing. None of this shit was making me, I wasn't exactly upset, but I hate it when everything is vague and nothing is specific and precise. So the point is to just capture what you see, because naturally, as a person, things come into view. You don't see everything all at once to be able to list things well. You see things a little bit at a time. It's just like when you start up a game or you open up your eyes and things slowly start coming into view. Try capturing that down about any particular place that you have here, and I'm going to tell you, you will ground into those spaces much easier and faster. And you do not need to make things so specific. You only need to write what you capture. You don't need anything else but what's already there. That's all I'm getting you to do, is to start paying attention to what's already there. Okay. So you said, oh my God, that's so wild. I was listening to that soundtrack like an hour ago. Oh, what soundtrack? The Evanescence one? Is that what I was singing? Or Sinners, Smokestack Twins. That's so funny. See, it was for you. Oh my God, yes, I think I know that moment of slippage you're talking about now, and I'm excited to discover. It's the moment you slip from being with everyone present to being with yourself. You know, it's the place where other people don't know what you're thinking, what you feel, what your intentions are. It's that place. You just start labeling where you are in that place. Start trying to capture that, honestly. Okay. And the more you do that, the more interesting it is. Okay. So last time we did, because for 2 weeks, you just needed to label as many of those as you can. There's no minimum, there's no limit. Okay, there just must be a threshold. Maybe there's a minimum of at least like 3 spaces, just one heaven, one Midgard, one underworld, and a threshold. The entry point, the portal that takes you in, and the portal, and it also takes you out, right? So at least 3, but there's no limit. Try to keep yourself focused, and then just create some icons. Now, some of the icons that like I have up here, I'll just show you guys. Okay, so the reason why I picked stuff like this was because you see how simple these icons are. You have, here's a mountain, a hill, a dune. You can, I have so many of these examples on this Pinterest board, and Pinterest has so many of these. You click on one and you're going to like be attacked by 1,000. So please, please, please do use it. And this should help you really come up with some icons, or just to be able to doodle them down. Okay, they do not need to be accurate, whatever. I just want to get you to doodle an icon down. That's all. And the icons can be very personal to you, obviously. You know, try to find something that means something, that connects the whole thing, but also do not be overwhelmed by the idea of the artistic aspect of it, of making that icon rendered a specific way. On most of these maps, here's um lots of what's the word I'm looking for? Examples, references. Maybe that's the word I wanted to use. But yeah, there's lots of examples and references here. Okay. Here's funny, here's a boat for Neverland. And different ideas of what the maps can look like, how they can be organized. I love stuff like this as well. If you can tell, this is almost like organized like a town or a city with a natural area to it. There's also some city ones on here that I thought were pretty interesting. Oh, here's a good example of something that's pretty sparse, but also just really laid out. Okay. Because the whole point is just that you want to spend like the truth is art club is for fun, but the activity is life changing. Okay. Art club is for fun, but the activity, you thinking about all of this and then going ahead and making the map, that's the life-changing part. You put it up on your wall, or just make a little one for you. I don't know, it's the meditation upon it that moves and changes your brain cells. Oh, here's the city one that I was talking about earlier. Yeah, see, even your map, you know what I mean? You can make it look like a city street, super organized. You got the upper realms, the middle realm, and then hell down here underneath the park or something. You know what I mean? Do it makes you giggle. Not that light turning off. Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Here we go. Okay. So, yeah, so that's it. So now it's just sketching, y'all. We're here for about like another 27 minutes. I'm going to sketch probably. Actually, I'm just going to look over my thing, and I'm going to be sketching all throughout the week. Don't think that you got to do it all right now either. Right now it's just a good time to just hang out. I hope some of you have been sketching while I was talking. I should hope. That'd be wild. I hope you guys weren't waiting. Okay, interesting keeping your internal world to yourself. I have really been protective of that space. Yeah, the inner world that is only for you. Only for you. Ooh, Josh, I'm seeing what you're saying. Hold on. Okay, it's mirrored. Or is it readable? Normal. Okay, I haven't yet first had heard of the voice memo guy post yet. Seen many posts about it and it's the same nature. You know, I'm just gonna say with the voice memo thing, I didn't come across that naturally. I think because it's like rage bait, you know, it's like contextless content. That's just meant to spread misery or to just like you know, like it's just as indecisive as she was. It creates just as much confusion as she seems to create. So it really is a reflector of the reflective of the place that it came from in some ways. So I didn't actually see it. And then people were talking about it. And then I heard some really strange things. And I was like, oh, God. Well, I can't say anything unless I have seen it. So then I went to go listen. And I was like, oh, my God, this is what people are going wild on. I'm like, didn't technically everything turn out the way that it should? You know? Guy who's being a little fucking weird, maybe. I mean, personally, I think it's a little weird to be like, date number 2. So, you know, can we talk about a sexual relationship and how's that going to go? I mean, it's not that weird. It's just I find it weird because I don't do online dating and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, to me, it's just like, ugh, this is so like garish. Like it's just so garish. You know, like that was my mind, and I'm like, good thing. It seems like they're incompatible. Good thing he asked everyone else. Yeah, I can't believe oh my god, I didn't wanna yeah, it was a mess. Anyways. Since I missed the first class, I kind of struggled coming up with the realms, but then it just came to me. Funny enough, it's kind of like where I live physically. Brought me to threads about do people live where their internal geography matches their external geography? To some extent, but it's been a wonder for me. That's interesting how the external geography, yeah, that would shape your internal geography. And also, I think, like, from an indigenous perspective, generally myths and stuff like that are based on the landscape that's around you and stuff like that. So the stories that you entertain inside of you are connected to the land that's outside of you. So that way you're always in relationship because objectively you share the earth knows you individually, right? um so like your inner world is like your personal piece of that land. That's where that's where the land sits in your heart, and so it can speak to you that way, like it's a really deep relationship. And through myth and story, so that's why, you know, I think about the fairy tales. I have some very odd kinship, I'm not gonna lie, with some fairy tales. And also my inner world tends to reflect the place of my birth. I'm not and it doesn't necessarily, let me think. Find a way until this pain. Yeah, a lot of my inner world looks an awful lot like the place of my birth. And I think that might just be that, like, I was born with a veil and it was, you know, really thin where I was, because a lot of it, and yeah, and the closer I am to the place of my birth, the more my outer reality matches my inner world, like, heavily. Like, I've had a lot of like the closer I am to the part of the land where I was born, the more synchronicity scream. It's almost like the whole world is orchestrated just for me, like a symphony plays. And I'm the only one who can hear it, but like it's like the way light shines off of stained glass windows, the way music begins and ends with my entrance and exit. It's almost eerie, and then you just have to just let it be, and then it's like normal, and it's just like, oh, this is what it's like when things are just in sync. My husband had mentioned it before, funny enough. He talks about it that way, like his internal and to like attunement to the land is a vibrational thing. He can feel like the beat, and so when he is on any other continent or any other place, he can feel the tune of that place, and it is a different beat than his own, but he knows the beat of his like homeland. And I was always like, you know, that's so interesting that you say that. I just feel the beat of the places that I'm at. And I was like, maybe it's just a person to person thing. And then I got pretty close to like visiting my birthplace again, and I was like, oh, this is what you mean. And in fact, I'll say he wished that for me. He's like, I want you to experience like being in your homeland. I've never considered like the place I was born my like homeland. I haven't been there since I was like a small kid and stuff. But man, I'm telling you, I got close, and then it's like, oh, this is what it is. It's like everything's just boom. And I think it has a lot to do with like the initial blueprint of things. I was just very much attuned to the nature and all of that. Because when you're a small kid, the only thing that you're attuned to is truth, just what is. Everything just is. You take everything as fact, and other people's emotional like manipulations and social programming, unless that's forced on you, it doesn't exist, you know. um and so you just I guess I must have got just a basic blueprint. Plus, I was born during the analog years. Is one threshold, or can we have multiple? You can have as many thresholds as you want. I just said at least one, right? But have as many as you want. Oh man. Um, Sometimes a threshold can also be a movement. Occasionally, when I lay down and I'm resting, I feel like I'm on the back of a horse, and then it's like that. My head goes back, and then I come forward, and like I'm on a horse, and like my soul's behind me. Usually we're in the sands of time when things are like that. Because it's like I'm being transported between places. And so this is just an inner state that says I'm in transition, right? Like I'm in transition between like the hell realms and something else. And it feels like that. Hence why I went to go take a nap, where I'm just like, oh. And then it's like, oh, okay. Okay, we're going between something, and I'm just gonna let you do whatever you're doing and rest right here. And then by the time like I feel like it's like that vision goes away, and something else comes over me, and now I all of a sudden have the energy to get up again and do other things that I wanted to do. Oh, I know. Isn't it great? I love it. I love this robe. So interesting on keeping your internal world to yourself. I've been really protective of that space. But yeah, I want to double down on that just for anybody who just popped in. Yes, please, 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 please understand that the inner world is yours. When old people tell you to always keep something just for yourself, something that's sacred just for yourself, that's really it. It does have pockets. Yeah, it's the best one. But yeah, that you want to keep that place for yourself, because it legitimately is the only place that nobody else can go there. Nobody, you could describe it to hell. You can write books and books and books and books and books and books and books, and people will still misinterpret it. People will still not know what the fuck you're talking about. People will still project their thing onto it. People will still take it their subjective truth. They will never be able to understand your subjective truth. And so therefore it automatically is your own space. You can torment yourself though by bringing other people to it. That means one, like for me, my palace, everything's great and stuff, but my kids and my husband aren't there. You know what I mean? Like some of these places, their energy exists there. Oh, I'll tell you guys a crazy one. Ha! One of these spaces, okay? I'll tell you guys, I was doing this meditation. I call it agape. And I was just connecting with a future version of me, just to know what the feeling of serenity felt like. And then I was moved, and then I'm just in this room. Seems like my library or something. There's a beautiful view. I'm standing in front of a window, just drinking some coffee, and everything is calm. Now, I'm obviously in a study, so there's lots of like books and things going on, but I'm taking a moment just to take in the view. And I remember it was raining, kind of like the beginning of this, kind of like the beginning of this. What did I say? Oh, how I love an oncoming storm. They follow me wherever I go. In harmony we are. The thunder to my electric smile. Oh, the roses are coming into view. I'm riding along in a carriage, old-fashioned, but I like that sort of thing. Otherwise, the train doesn't come out this way, and waiting on a car when a kind local man offered up his services. Turns out he's the neighbor to my new abode. I'll get more, but anyways, this it's not necessarily me. It's for a story or a book, but it's about the oncoming storm. It's like there's something about the rain, and I don't know. I just absolutely love it. And go figure, there it is. When I sit down and I decide to write just and capture what I see, I capture all the things that I love, naturally. But anyways, I why I say a storm? I mentioned that. Why was I talking about that? I started falling in love with rain again, and then I forgot. It'll hit me in just a minute. Oh, yeah. So, the meditation where I'm communing with my higher self, I'm just staring out a window, just taking the time to just be like, huh. So I was like, I think I'll just sit here a while. And then I just started to like look around where I was sitting, and then there's this pretty brown leather couch, and it's got all these like ornate buttons on it and stuff. And I was touching it, and I was like, wow, this is pretty, like a pretty taut couch. It's not the kind that you just like sink into. It's a little like sturdy, like but it's still nice and comfortable. Anyways, leave the meditation, go on about my life. A few weeks or a month later or something like that, my husband starts talking about a couch, and he describes the exact couch that I saw, and I was like, oh, well, like, he was describing it, and he was describing it as like, that's the couch that he wants to get. He sees that, like, that's his couch, like the one that he wants but doesn't currently have. And I was like, well, that's fucking wild. So that's what I mean when I'm like, listen, your internal world in some way, shape, or form is going to be reflective of a lot of the different things around you, but do not bring people there on purpose. But it is okay. You will be surprised at how people that you do love and people that are around you somehow have some type of connection to it. And that's magical in itself. Spent the last 2 months on the road tripping across the country, and my imagination is blown wide open. So as I've deepened relationship with the ecology of different biomes, ooh, I bet that's amazing. I bet you that's amazing. Oh my god. To be able to feel the land and to just, yeah. I almost feel like I can see the wind going through your hair as you're driving. Where it's just like land. And it speaks to you, doesn't it? Ecology speaks. Okay, Josh, was there any place that you just stole your heart? Well, I had a powerful experience at Arkeys, Bryce Canyon, too, Monument Valley. The desert had so much to teach me, and the Rockies. I ended up moving to Denver instead of going back to Georgia. Ooh, the Rockies. I'm on the other side of the Rockies. Aren't they beautiful? They are amazing. I love the Rockies. And also, I'm glad to hear that your trip was really well. Let me double check and make sure nobody else has said anything in our other chat. Oh, here we go. Agape meditation. Yeah, so I'll tell you guys. Actually, here, let me find the guy. Oh man, what's this called? Quantum jumping. What's his name? Goldberg, maybe Goldstein. Oh my god, why am I spelling like this? Quantum Leap. Goldstein, maybe Goldsmith, maybe. Oh my god, I don't know this guy's name. This really old man. He wrote a book. No, not whoever this. Maybe. No, it's not that. Ugh, let me try. Amazon. Jesus Christ, come on. Sorry, I got like all this stuff in front of me, so my typing on a good day is terrible. On a terrible day is terrible. Okay, Quantum Leap, Goldsberg. Oh man. Okay, so there's just like old man. He's like in his 80s. And he does a lot in his life. He's painted, he's sold paintings, he's done a lot of different things. And he talks about the ability to quantum leap, and he talks about a lot of the meditations that he did. I'll probably mention, oh, you know what I could do? That's not, I can look at my Kindle. Here it is. Oh my god, this song. Emily, that's so sad. Okay. Library. Sorry, y'all. This is gonna take me a second because I got like 50,000 fucking books on here. Maybe this is a call to go back to this one to open it. I haven't finished it yet. But it was such a great mega quantum jumping. Bert Goldman. Bert. Oh, Bertie, I found you. Burt Goldman. Look at this. So Burt Goldman, Kindle, it's like $8, $9. But the basic of quantum jumping. So, he was a soldier in Korea and he talked to some Korean people and I think they taught him some stuff. Anyways, he was just one of those people that is living his life and I guess doing it pretty all right and learned a few things and he wrote a book about it. It's really fun. Anyway, so he has some really cool meditations and one of the meditations was just to sit and to call one's higher self, ask them what success feels like, and then just sit in it. Sometimes they'll tell you, like your higher self will give you information, this, that, and the other. Well, in other words, you're just opening up your brain to quantum space. So your brain exists in the material world, of course, but the electrons and the neurons and all of the light that exists inside of you is like the light in you, your soul is like a seed. The seed has information from its birth all the way to its flowering and its reincarnation. Like all of that is encoded in you. So your whole life has already been lived because it's in the seed, but you are experiencing it in real time as a human being. That's why you both have free will, but you also feel like things are, for the most part, predestined. And that's because there is a predestined track, right? So, in other words, if you're a rose, you're always going to be a rose. Now, free will says, what is this rose going to do? But it's going to be different than a tulip. Okay, the tulip's a tulip, you're a rose. You can't break out of that. You will bloom, you will shed your petals, you will bloom again, you're an annual, whatever the fuck. That's your pattern. But what your experience is how free will patterns into it and stuff like that. So sometimes religions get confused between the two and it sends people into existential dread and shock, and that's like the Calvinists who think that they're predestined and a person's actions reveal their predestination. And it's like, no, your environment, a rose in a shitty environment isn't going to petal as beautifully as a rose in a nutritious environment. So it's going to be a much bigger and healthier bloom, right? Same rose, but treated differently, it comes out different. So that's kind of that argument. But anyways, why was I talking about that? Oh yeah, this. So your higher self is already encompassed in you. Now, there are many different possibilities and all that kind of stuff. But if you have a question, you just sit with your higher self and ask what I think the best thing to do is ask, what does this feel like? And then just to allow that to come to you. The same way I said allow and sit down and just write what comes up to you when you think about a place. So if you think, okay, here's the tower. I have a tower, a little wizard in my tower. So if I want to sit down and explore the tower, I'm going to sit down. I'm just going to write what comes to me. If a conversation with the wizard starts happening, he comes over cheekily and he's looking over my shoulder at something. Oh, what is this something that I'm doing? I'm writing. But what I'm writing isn't important. What's important is the way that his breath is like kind of heavy as he's over me. There's some pipe smoke here. And maybe I'm kind of irritated because this magician's looking over at my work yet again, but he's not going to comment on it or tell me how to fix something. He's going to wait until I get it wrong, wait until I've done the entire thing, fucked up the whole thing, and then go, yeah, you got it wrong when you were over there. And I'll be like, why didn't you say anything? Right? Like I might be hearing that whole conversation going, write that. Write down the whole conversation, that sort of a thing. That's kind of like what it's like when you quantum jump. When you open your mind up to be able to ask a question and then capture what you see, then there's like that information, what you're capturing has information for you. Now, your ability to discern that information, what it means to you, this, that, and the other, you just sit with it. And that kind of reveals itself over time. And the more you do that, the more skillful you become at like interpreting things in real time. And also, that's why I tell people read and study, learn the stuff that you're interested in, because that's the language that your soul speaks to you. And if you have the desire to paint, learn about painting by doing it and listening to people teach and say things about it, X, Y, and Z, because next thing you know, you might start talking to yourself using colors and contrast, and you now have language for that. Not English, you have the emotional language for that because you've sat listening to other people have emotional language about it, and talking about their emotions. So it opens you up to a new way of thinking, etc. And that's really important. So this one, quantum jumping, but Barry Goldman. I'll go ahead and put this in the chat. I can't do that on TikTok, my bad, y'all. But I'm gonna do that on the Patreon and the Zoom because yeah, give it a. It's really short. It's very easy. It's a nice, accessible read too, because Birdie. I don't know him like that, but Bert is pretty chill. He just talks about it in the way that, oh, pardon me, and his learned experience rather than like, from a place of like neuroscience and this is real. I'll use all of the neuroscience to, jargon to help give credibility to it or whatever. Bert's just like, this is what I did and it was pretty cool. So that's helpful. Let me see what else. All right. Do you have your base place, like your Jade Palace or Palace, in places that you've been before completely from your imagination? I've been finding that in using places I know and even love, the energy can mix with memory. So, no, none of mine are from real. They're not real based on anything real. These have all come, like, they're fantastical. The more fantastical the location, the better. Now, that being said, like, if you have a river on yours because you love the river that's near you, that's fine. You get what I'm saying? If you're like my apartment that I used to live in, um, you're gonna get a lot of yeah, it's gonna be like, it is a river. This happens all the time. Yeah, that's fine. Because like, now give the river a name though. And then when you see that river, you gotta also say hello to that river's name. You get what I mean? At Dolly Coop, forking all beautiful. Yeah. Give that river a name, like it has its own name, but then there's like the secret name between you and it. Also, like, it's good to like get like, okay, most rivers have dragon spirits. You ever see Spirited Away? And that boy, he was a river dragon. A lot of rivers have like spirits inside of them, and like, this is a force of nature. It's a force of water, and so go ahead and like, if it feels fine for you, right? Like, give that dragon a name. I've been seeing dragons. Yeah. Yeah, give it a name, and don't be surprised if the dragon pops up even when you're not at the river. You know what I mean? Oh, this is important. All of you need to go out into nature and really like get involved in the nature that you're in. So that means go walk in nature. If you got a park next to you, go walk in the park. Actually, I'll give you a list of things that I typed out. Let me see. This is a given tree. Yeah. Let me see. I had to make sure that all that stuff wasn't open. Okay. Oh, okay. Here's a list of things that I'll put this in a newsletter. Sit at the park, exercise at the park, do art at the park, grab onto branches of a tree and see if you can hold out your own weight. Eat at the park, make friends with an animal at the park, discover something new at the park, follow a clue that leads you to the park, that sort of thing. Like, you see how I'm just listing a bunch of like basic activities, like basic date activities even? Please do that with nature. When you do that, you're actually expending time in an environment that boosts your energy. If you all watch or play The Sims ever in your life, you know how they get environment points. Like, if the environment's nice, their environment goes up, and if there's trash everywhere, their environment goes down. That's real. It's real. It's real. It's real. Please put stuff that boosts your environment. So anyways, when you go out into nature, though, nature naturally heals you and heals your biofield, because just like, think about it, how does nature, the mycelium network, carry nutrients to other things? It's all based on movement. It's all based on chemistry, things like that, sound, vibration, stuff like that. So it's similar. Now, you're not rooted in the ground. You're not going to pick up phosphorus or nutrients like nitrogen gas or anything. Although, I don't know, maybe you put your toes in the earth. I don't know if I can know. You know what I mean? Don't get me acting like I know how this shit works to the degree like that. But But generally speaking, your energy, you are just you. Nature sees you as you. You can sit here and put on a mask and pretend and like have all your fucking issues and be up in your head and erratic. Nature just sees you as you are. And so therefore when you have a relationship with it, like you observe it and you claim it as kin. So you have a relationship, right? Then it also sends you energy that you need. It doesn't only just send stuff through roots, it pushes out energy as well, and so it can send you stuff that you need. You make friends with like water spirits and shit like that. Hey, don't be surprised if shit flows your way. You know what I mean? Lean against a tree and or be and or be in the tree is a fave for me. Get views, see things differently. And what I mean is return, like, and let it always be in the now. Like, and in your, I should put it this way, be present from your interior. So this is kind of like a, um, you're in deep meditation while also walking around the world. But you see, when you do this in nature and in the park, being by yourself and kind of being in your own space and stuff like that is a very appropriate thing. If you're doing this in, like, I don't know, in the middle of a Chili's get together, like you guys are having, maybe at work, everyone's like, let's go to Chili's. And you're trying to do all that. It's like very distracting and also strange and weird, and it's odd, right? But in nature, it's super fucking important that you do it, because when you do, you're kind of weaving your nature with nature. That's the only way that I can explain this. It's like really important. Every time I do this anywhere I go, and I can feel like the city on my side. City will start talking to you too. You do, if you can do it in louder spaces, like you can walk around metropolitan spaces and stuff like that, and the city will talk to you. But a city is a totally different energy than than the nature. A city is like history starts talking to you, and ghost and stuff like that. You take care of people in the city notices, that sort of a thing. Like it's a different energy than nature. Nature like spreads. The city stays pretty contained. Let me see. Showdown. All right, all right. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? I was talking this whole time. To be fair, though, I did sketch a lot of my stuff already, and I'm just gonna like think I'm gonna put on a movie, like Aristocrats or something like that, and start putting my. I can't decide if I want to sketch in my like traveler's notebook. You know what I mean? Like I love this shit. But then I'll have sketched it, and then it'll be back here on a page somewhere. Maybe I want to hang it up on a wall, you know? So I might, I might make room. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Also, here's a thought and an idea that I had, and I thought it'd be cool to share. But if you get a canvas or something like that, and then paint it and make a portal, and you can add to it also little icons and stuff like that, and it becomes part of your map, and it's in a portal, in an actual portal. I think I might end up doing that or something like that on a canvas. Just doing it piece by piece. Might even make the icons with finger paint using my own hand. You know what I mean? Just to kind of really imprint it with myself. I don't know. All right. But how is everybody doing? We're almost at time. Did you guys sketch anything? Did you sketch anything? Next time, please do bring your sketches, because we'll be doing the actual like inking and stuff like that. You can ink it, paint, whatever you're working on and stuff like that. You can share some stuff too, like anything you want to share, you know what I mean? You don't need to be like, this is my whole inner world. You can, that's perfectly fine too. Like it only matters to you. You get what I'm saying? You just you don't want to invite people long term, like, understand me, this is my inner world, come to my inner world, you know, that's wild. But you know, being like, this is a place and this is my favorite icon, or this is one of my favorite thresholds, that can be really fun too. It's a very artistic thing, you know. Let me see. So many symbols, themes, and connective imagery philosophy were coming to mind. I'm so glad. Okay, I have a river as one of my thresholds. Ah, see, look at the river. Oh my god. Obviously, these dragons are like, tell him. I gotta hop up, but this was a fun. Oh, Meg is gone. Okay, bye, Meg. Might go for a sunset tonight. I'm so glad. So you sketch. Yay. Oh, I want to take a walk at some point. I've been thinking about going fishing. I saw a kid go fish and he was just sitting in this silly little plastic raft and he was catching himself a fish and I was like, "You know what? That's so whimsical. Why do I think I need to do anything special? I just need a stick, some string, and some gusto." I told my husband that and he was like, "We can get you a small fishing pole." We can get you some basic equipment and a fishing license. And I was like, "You're right. You're right. My brother fishes off a paddleboard. See, I'm right there. I want to get on one and just float in the river and whoosh with a little pole. Just whoo. I don't even need to catch anything, but a vibe, you know. In fact, I think that's on the. I'm gonna write that down really quick. Catch the vibe. What's today, y'all? July 11th. Oh, and coming at you all is a newsletter with I have actually I'll show you some of it now. I have a code for a actually I don't know if I can show that because yeah, I don't know if I have it on here. But I have a code for a journal, an astrology journal, and to share with you all. So I wanna show you all. Yeah, I want to show you all the astrology journal. It's there's a printed version. Ooh, here we go. And it's a summer 2026 quarterly lunar journal. Okay, so there's like 305 pages. All is full of love. And so it's a quarterly planner. It goes from July to September. And there's like yeah, I'll have to grab it because I can't find it here. But I have to grab it. And it's got a lot of astrology going on because I know a lot of people have been asking me, how do you keep track of astrology? How do you keep track of astrology? And I've been trying to find a way to condense it because, like, a lot of the stuff that I do is super intuitive and from doing it for a really long time. So, like, obviously, it's really easy for me to just decide what I want to track and what I want to keep track of and how I'm going to do that, my shorthand and stuff. And I've been trying to, like, condense and figure out a good way of sharing that. And I did. I found a client. A client was telling me about it, and I was like, "Send me a link." So that's coming out to you guys really soon. Because ooh, that's nice. Why did I say that? Oh, because I was jotting down the date. What did I put? What was I going to put down? I was going to write down something to do with fishing. Fishing. And I'm going to write catch a vibe. Just so I can remember. All right. I think that's it for me, y'all. I'm exhausted and tired. I want to go sleep. I'm probably going to play some more Marvel Rivals, though, until my eyeballs fall out, because that's been really fun. There's a new season that came out, and I like it. Okay, let me see. I used to live along the Susquehanna River, one of the 5 oldest rivers in the world. That's wild. And there was a dragon energy in one of those mountains. Its name was, are there rules to saying a dragon name? I don't. Hold on before you say it. Rules to dragon names and saying them. I don't think so. I know that there are. No. That's not what I mean. Rules to saying. I know what you mean. Sometimes it feels like betrayal. It gave me its name, but it's one of those rules, you know what I mean? I know exactly what you mean. Saying a dragon's name aloud often depends on the specific lore and setting, but universal rules applies across fantasy literature and mythology. Generally, you should stack. Oh my god, shut up. Nobody's talking about making them. I'm talking about saying them. Okay, listen, I'm just gonna say, I don't know. I've always felt like every time I get a name that that like they're entrusting me with it because it's encoded, and like names are special. I wouldn't just tell us the dragon of Susquehanna. Did I say that right? Susquehanna, is it K or Susquehanna? Susquehanna, like is it Kwe? Thank you, Francina. You're welcome. Susquehanna. Ooh, Susquehanna. That's so pretty. Susquehanna. Ooh, Susquehanna. Like saying it. Susquehanna. Like, do you hear that music? Susquehanna. It feels like a chant. If I say it enough times. Susquehanna, Susquehanna, Susquehanna. There's near those stargates I found. Ooh, yeah. Keep that name to yourself. Keep that name to yourself. There's magic in a name. You know what I mean? Don't dilute it. Oh, that's so pretty. The river existed before the Appalachian Mountains. That's wild to think of, During Pangea. That's wild to think of. And it's never been the same. This whole time it's just been rushing through. It's been rushing through so much that it's seen itself. It's seen itself. It's seen itself at some point in time. Not the same way, but bits and pieces. Oh, Susquehanna. Okay, I gotta stop saying that name now. Yeah. I love her. And with that, good night. Night. Okay, well, everybody, thanks for coming to book, or not book club. Thanks for coming to art club. Oh, book club. Speaking of, we do have the Wizard of Oz. The end of this month, chapters 1 through 12. After this, we're supposed to be doing Tales of Earthsea. We'll see. Since we're still discovering and finding interest in masculine archetypes and how they've been portrayed and stuff. But Frank L. Baum made an entire series, Oz, The Wizard of Oz, which is one book of the tales that happen in Oz. And so I've been kind of doing a little bit of research on him slowly, and I'm so interested because yeah. Anyways, that being said, everybody, I am off now. Please, by next week, come and we'll ink. And if you want to watercolor your sketches, you can do whatever you want. Obviously, it's your sketch. You can sketch it in a notebook and burn it if you wanted to. That's wild. Please don't do that. But next week we're just gonna finalize it. Okay, so come and I'll probably show you guys my working sketch that I'm working on and finalizing. So I'll see you guys then. Have a great evening. Stay calm, stay centered, stay grounded. And also fly. Know the difference and know how to do both at the same time. I'm saying all that with this music playing right now. The Deer King. Yes. Go far, my people. I'm just kidding. Okay, good night, everybody.